Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Becca, and today I'm super excited because I am going to be reviewing all the books that I read in the month of April, which if you didn't see from the thumbnail was like 15 or more. So let's start with The Last House Guest from Megan Miranda. I've read quite a few of her books. So in this book, this local town girl who has lost her parents and then eventually her grandmother ended up meeting this rich girl, and then ended up instantly becoming best friends. And the rich girl ended up dying, and they ruled it a suicide. But in fact, and she felt, the friend Avery felt like Sadie did not commit suicide due to, you know, knowing her that she would not do something like that. So Avery in this book is trying to prove that Sadie did not commit suicide, and this was like a year after she died, and so much of twists and turns. You get to learn like who caused the accident of her parents in it, and it's kind of intertwined in the book, and it's a good book. I did not like the vibe of the book overall. It was a very somber vibe in this whole book, and that kind of put me off, and it was not my favorite book, but I enjoyed the story. I just didn't like the vibe of it. So the next book I got is called The Hunting Wives. So this book I got from Book of the Month, and I found it, and I love the cover of it. So what happens was this a mom and her husband, this woman and her husband and her son, little son, he was like a year or two old, moved back to the suburbs where she grew up, very small town from the city. So she quit her job, became a stay-at-home mom. Her husband worked in the construction business, and she was going through a hard time in like the new adjustment. And she got into this group of women that were like very high up in society in the town. They were like Southern Belles, and they, you know, were the richer ones of the community. And they, every like Thursday, I don't remember, one day a week they would go out to one of their cabins, and they would, you know, do skeet shooting and drink, and then, you know, have a whole bunch of fun. And it ended up like putting damage to her marriage, and they ended up finding one of the women's son's girlfriend went missing, and they found her dead. And then one of the other women that were popular in this group also was found dead, and they were trying to find out who killed these women, and was had to be one in the group. And the main character was the one that was suspected of the murder because she was the last one that saw them. Overall, it was a good book. Was not one of my favorite books because I did not like any of the characters. I did not like the main character. I did not like the decisions that she made, and like how her thought process worked with everything. Not my favorite, but it was a good book. Next book. So this was an amazing book, and I was not expecting to love this book. So it's another Book of the Month books, and they had it in their list of books that you can choose from past books. It's The Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. So this girl meets this rich like billionaire, and he like pretty much forsakes his family, did not want to become a lawyer. So they ended up moving to Hawaii together in order to fix his boat so that they can travel the seas together. And they end up fixing the boat up, going out to this island, and they end up meeting these two girls that come with them because they want to, you know, them to pretty much charter their trip to the deserted island that's known for like this kind of creepy and weird things happen on this island. And while they were there on the island, they ended up seeing another couple that was staying on the island, and then people ended up dead, and they were trying to figure out who is the killer out of this group. And there's this like a surprise twist ending that you wouldn't suspect, and everything is like related to each other. And I'm so surprised like how the author related everything and how it came to a big surprise. Only thing that I wish she did is the main character, the woman, I forgot her name. I don't remember her name, it doesn't say it in here, but the main character, the woman in here with the boyfriend, she's the one, she ends up escaping the island, and she ends up having like a ton of money, and is like on the boat. She uses the boat that her boyfriend had, and she goes around the world and kind of like get a glimpse of what she does after the island. And I want to know more about like after what she does after the island. So I would like a continuation of this for sure, but definitely highly recommend it. I like this book so much. I went to Barnes & Noble and got one of her other books, The Wife Upstairs, similar cover, which I really like. So this girl who like pretty much is an orphan, has gone, you know, from different foster homes throughout her whole life, and then she finally, like, when she became of age, she escaped foster homes, and she moved to a new city to start a new life. And like she took a name to start a new life. She took a new name and wanted to become a new person. And she was working, you know, in like a coffee shop, and she was also walking dogs for the rich community. And while she was walking the dog, she actually met one of the guys there, it's around her age, that was recently widowed like a year ago. And it turned out that, you know, the story behind what happened to his wife, they never found her body, or the girl that his wife was with when she went missing. So they always thought the death was weird and couldn't quite figure it out. And something happened to both of them that you wouldn't expect. And he ended up locking his wife up in the attic. And like you get his side of the story of all the events that happened and hers. And it's so hard to tell who's actually telling the truth and what story is correct. It is freaking crazy how this book goes down, and it's so hard to put this book down just because it's so many twists and turns each chapter. Highly recommend this book. This author does such an amazing job, and I would definitely read this book again. Next up, a book that I really, really love, or a really author that I really love, read quite a few of her books, is Lucy Foley. And what she does, what I like about her is that you get different perspectives of so many people in her books. So you get perspectives from 5 different people in this book. And so there's this apartment building in Paris that this girl's brother was living in. And she got in some hard times, and she was moving in with her brother. When she showed up, her brother was missing, and she was trying to find him. And she was asking everyone around the apartment, and she kept on uncovering weird stuff about the apartment and what's happening there. And she suspects that someone in the apartment killed her brother because she can't find him, and she can't go to the police due to her past. And so it's interesting. I like reading everyone's perspective, and there's some major twists in here that I was not expecting. Love Lucy Foley. I've loved every single one of her books that she has written, for sure. So this next book, The Golden Couple, was one of the debut books for the month of April, I believe. And so this is written by 2 authors. Pretty much this couple is having issues due to the wife having an affair, and they go to this therapist who no longer has her license and has unconventional ways of doing therapy, but she's helped a lot of people out. And it's about them going through therapy, and you think that they're gonna make, you know, a difference and a change, but then like new secrets keep on becoming new, and you find more and more out about the husband that you're not expecting, and you just It has some twists and turns and surprises in it, but it's kind of predictable at the end. I liked this book, but it was not my favorite. I did not love it like I thought I would. Next book. So with this book, I have so many books. It's freaking hilarious. Belle A. Franzi's. So they're pretty much these, so pretty much this girl, Madeline is her name, Maddie, that's what they call her. She went on a blind date that her mom set her up with, which is hilarious how her mom ended up doing that, and she accidentally kills her date, and her whole family gets in on trying to get rid of the body. And they're like an Asian family, they're Asian descent, and all the aunts are hilarious how they converse with each other and how they bicker, and it's just a hilarious book. Even though there's a murder involved, and how they're trying to cover up this murder is absolutely hilarious. Highly recommend this book. It will make you laugh. If you want a book that will make you laugh, highly recommend it. And there is a second one, which you'll see that review next month. Next up is a book that I saw another YouTuber, the Dantes, read, and they said it was amazing. It's called The Maid. So this young girl, her grandmother just passed, and she feels kind of lost in life, and she works as a maid in this hotel, and she's on autism. I believe she's autistic on the autism spectrum. So she's not able to read people that well and tell what they want, and she ends up finding a dead body in one of the suites she was cleaning, and due to how she reacted to it and like her answers to the cops, they suspected her for murder. And then it's just, I love how the book unfolds and how her character develops throughout this book, and it's hilarious. Also another really good book. Highly recommend this. Okay, so this book, All Her Little Secrets, is a good book. It's about this attorney that works at this law firm, and she's African American, and she's like the only African American woman working in this law firm. And her boss, who she's very close with, she's actually having an affair with him. She finds him dead in his office with a gunshot to his head, and she walks away, closes the door. Someone else finds him and calls the cops, and she's very suspicious of the cops due to her past. She's went through a lot with her past. So, and then they begin to suspect her, and then she also has a little brother that has issues with the law. Another reason why she doesn't want to get involved with the cops is she doesn't believe that her boss would kill himself. So she goes through this like search to try to find out like who actually killed him. And I actually really enjoyed this book, and I think I would read it again. I recommend this book for sure. So Michelle Campbell is another wonderful author that I've read before. And so these three college roommates, so it goes back and forth between college days and present day. So these three college roommates, they were very close in college. They met because they were all paired together for, you know, sharing the same dorm. And so it was Kate, Aubrey, and Jenny were the three girls. Kate came from a wealthy family, but she has some like issues with her parents. Aubrey came from a broken home, and she had, you know, a single mother, but her home wasn't the best, and she came on financial aid to the college. And then Jenny she was from the town the college was in, and she was brilliant, and she was determined to succeed and do her best. And then 20 years after college, they found one of them dead, and it looked like a suicide because she jumped off a bridge, but they believe that someone killed her, and they worked to unravel that. But as they grow, each of them have their own problems, and everyone's a suspect for it. And it's surprising, the end. I did enjoy this. She wrote another book that I absolutely loved. I love her writing style. So this next book, The Family Plot, I did not really, this book was okay. I didn't really enjoy it. So pretty much this girl and her siblings grew up in this house on an island, and they were an odd family because they grew up my bad. They grew up, hold on one moment, because they grew up learning about serial killers and that was a big part of their education because they were homeschooled, and people of the island found their family very odd. And when she grew up, when all the family grew up, they ended up leaving the house and doing their own thing. And they ended up getting a call that their father died of a heart attack. And so they all came back, and when they went to go dig up the grave that they were going to bury their father in, they found their brother, her twin brother, in the grave already. And it becomes trying to solve the murder of her brother. And then also there's a popular serial killer on the island that they can't figure out who is killing all these women. And it goes on like this. This serial killer on their island goes on forever, and the main character, the woman, thinks that the serial killer is the one that's responsible for her brother's death. And the family ends up, you know, kind of reconnecting and understanding each other a little bit better, finding out the murders of both families. But it's just really didn't interest me that much, and it's just not something that I absolutely loved. Probably will not read it again. If I don't love the book, I don't keep them because I don't have enough room to keep them. I usually just give them into like the free little library that they have around. So this is one that I'm definitely going to give away. Next one, like I said, I love Lucy Foley. Love how she writes The Hunting Party. So again, you had different perspectives from different from the different parties. So what happens is these people from college, they're grown up, you know, they've moved on, they've started their own families, married, have kids, and they all decide they always have a reunion every New Year's, and they all decide to go to this remote Scottish wilderness. And at this lodge, there is the gamekeeper. There's like 3 people that stay at the lodge, and then you have this big party of people. And they find out that one of them ends up dead, and they're trying to find out who the murderer was. And you find out like about all their past and their secrets, and it's just a really good story. Love how she writes. I would recommend reading this for sure. Next up, okay, I had to read the back of this book. I actually do not remember much about this book, but it's still like coming back. So Lee ends up having her career ends up ending, and she sees an old friend from college named Emmy, and Emmy gives her a chance to move in with her in this new town and start over again. Lee becomes a teacher in her town, and Emmy ends up going missing during the book, and like these murders start happening, and they're blaming Emmy. They think that Emmy might be responsible for it, and she, like, throughout the book, she realizes she really doesn't know her roommate Emmy at all, and realizes that it might not even be her real name, and that she's thinking that Emmy might be part of these murders. And it's very suspenseful. It's a very good book. There is a love story in it, which I do enjoy. And Lee works with the police to try and uncover this, and she wants to do it her own way. And Megan Miranda is another one that I like. Some of her books, not all of her books, but this one was a good one, so I definitely recommend that book. So I know this video was long, but those were all the books I read in the month of April. Let me know if you've read any of these, what you thought of them, and if you have any book recommendations for me, please let me know down in the comments below, because I love reading, and I have a huge stack of books over to my left that I need to get to, so I'm gonna go read now. So everyone have a great day. Definitely hit that like button and subscribe if you love this content. See you real soon.